The most important figure in modern martial arts history was not a warrior, not a general, not a monk. He was a school teacher in Tokyo who weighed 90 pounds. Jigoro Kano did not look like a man who would change the history of combat. He was short, he was thin, he was bullied so badly that other children dragged him out of school buildings to beat him. He became one of the most important figures in modern martial arts history. Judo was the first Asian martial art in the Olympics. The modern black belt system, used across much of the martial arts world, began with Kano. And one of Kano's leading students, the fighter Mitsuyo Maeda, eventually carried Kodokan Judo to Brazil, setting in motion everything that became BJJ. He never meant to create an empire. He just wanted to stop being hurt. Mikage, Japan, 1860. The shogun still ruled, the samurai still wore swords, and into a sake brewing family, a third son was born. Jigoro Kano's father was not a warrior. He was a shipping official who believed deeply in education, and he poured everything into his children's schooling. When Kano's mother died, he was 9 years old. His father moved the family to Tokyo. He enrolled him in schools that emphasized Western learning. Kano learned English, he learned German, he kept his diary in elegant, fluent English script. He was brilliant, and he was small. At adolescence, Kano stood 5'2" and weighed 90 pounds. 5'2", 90 pounds. At a school for the sons of elites, he was prey. Students dragged him outside, they hit him, they humiliated him. He became desperate. A family friend, a former member of the shogun's guard, mentioned that jujutsu was an art by which a smaller man could defeat a larger opponent. Kano seized on the idea. He decided he would learn it. His father disapproved. Jujutsu was a relic of the samurai era, brutal, decaying, dying. Japan was modernizing. The old fighting arts were for thugs and anachronisms. His father told him no. Kano persisted. His father relented on one condition. If Kano was going to do this, he was going to master it. Kano enrolled at Tokyo Imperial University. He studied political science and philosophy. And in his spare time, he walked the streets of Tokyo, searching. Not for teachers, for bone setters. His logic was simple. Jujutsu was violent. Practitioners got injured. The men who treated them would know who the real masters were. It was a detective's logic, and it worked. A bone setter directed him to Fukuda Hachinosuke, a master of the Tenjin Shinyo-ryu school. Fukuda taught in a 10-mat room attached to his clinic. There was no padding, only straw tatami laid over wooden floorboards. The training method was simple. The student took fall after fall, dozens of falls, hundreds, until something clicked, until the body began to understand, without the mind's permission, why a throw worked. Fukuda gave beginners a brief description of a technique, then threw them into free practice. Randori, live resistance. No theory before experience. Kano was small. He was thrown constantly, and he kept coming back. In 1879, Kano was chosen to demonstrate jujutsu for Ulysses S. Grant, the former president of the United States, visiting Japan. Kano was 18 years old. Fukuda died shortly after. He was 52. Fukuda's widow chose Kano to inherit the scrolls of the school. But Kano knew he was not ready. He sought a new teacher. Isso Masatomo, 62 years old, 5 feet tall, built like iron from decades of jujutsu. Under Isso, Kano learned kata, the formal patterns, and atemi, the striking of vital areas. He became an assistant instructor. Then Isso died too. Kano found one more teacher, Iikubo Tsunetoshi of the Kito-ryu school, an expert in throwing. and something began to shift in Kano's mind. He was no longer just learning techniques, he was comparing them, synthesizing them. The throws of Kitoryu, the groundwork of Tenjin Shinryu, the striking of Iso. And he began to see something the old masters had not. The techniques were not separate traditions. They were expressions of a single principle: maximum efficiency, minimum effort. Kano was 21 years old. He had 2 degrees. He was a working teacher, and he rented a small room in a Buddhist temple in Tokyo. He called it the Kodokan, the hall for studying the way. He had fewer than 10 students. The dojo was so small they could barely practice throws. In winter, they trained in the snow outside because there was no room to fall indoors. Kano called his art Judo, the gentle way. It was a deliberate break from jujutsu, the art of yielding. Kano was not yielding anymore. He was building. Word spread. Another young man running another dojo was not unusual, but Kano's students were winning. In an era where jujutsu schools challenged each other constantly, dojo yaburi, dojo storming, the Kodokan began to develop a reputation, and the established schools noticed. Japan's jujutsu establishment was not impressed by a 21-year-old schoolteacher combining pieces of old arts into something new. The Totsuka school, the largest and most influential jujutsu faction in the country, saw Kano's judo as a threat. It was an insult to tradition, a fusion of stolen techniques taught by an intellectual who had never been a real warrior. They wanted to crush him. Challenge matches began, brutal affairs with few rules. Fighters from established schools would arrive at the Kodokan and demand to fight. Kano's students accepted. One student stood above all others: Shiro Saigo, a prodigy. His technique, Yama Arashi, Mountain Storm, was unstoppable. He threw men twice his size. He threw everyone. He was feared. In 1886, the Tokyo Metropolitan Police decided to settle the question once and for all. They were choosing a hand-to-hand combat system for their officers. The Totsuka school had always held that position. But the police chief had heard of the Kodokan. He wanted a test. They organized a tournament. The Kodokan versus the strongest jujutsu fighters in Japan. 15 matches. Winner takes legitimacy. The judoka wore short-sleeve jackets and short-leg trousers, the prototype of the modern judogi. The jujutsu fighters wore hakama, the wide-legged traditional trousers of the samurai class. Old traditions versus new methods. The matches were savage. Throws and submissions. No weight classes. No time limits on the ground. One fight stood out above all others. Kodokan's Sakujiro Yokoyama against Hansuke Nakamura of the Ryoi Shintoryu. Yokoyama threw Nakamura down immediately. Deashi Barai, advancing foot sweep. Nakamura reversed. They fought standing for 30 minutes. They fought on the ground for 25 more. 55 minutes. 2 men locked in a single, unbroken struggle. Yokoyama finally secured a chokehold. Nakamura's body went limp. The referee stopped the match. According to the standard Kodokan account, when the tournament ended, the judoka had won 13 of 15 matches. 2 were draws. They had not lost a single fight. Judo had not just won a tournament. Judo had eclipsed traditional jujutsu. The Metropolitan Police adopted Kano's art. The Kodokan became the center of Japanese martial arts. The schoolteacher had done what the samurai could not. Kano was not satisfied with winning fights. That was never the point. He formulated 2 principles that would define his life's work. Seiryoku Zenyo, maximum efficiency, minimum effort. Jita Kyoei, mutual welfare and benefit. These were not fighting tactics. They were a philosophy of human development. Kano believed that a person who trained judo properly did not just learn to throw an opponent. They learned to apply the most effective use of mental and physical energy to everything. To work, to relationships, to society. Judo was not about defeating others. It was about perfecting the self. And through that perfection, contributing to the welfare of all. Mutual benefit. Every person rising together. Kano introduced the Kyudan ranking system, the black belt and the graduated ranks that would spread to karate, taekwondo, aikido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and much of the modern martial arts world. Before Kano, there was no systematic way to measure progress. You were either a student or a master, nothing in between. He gave martial arts a ladder. The colored belts came later. European judo teachers in the 1930s added yellow, orange, green, blue, and brown. But the structure itself, the path from white to black, was his invention. He became a senior official in Japan's Ministry of Education, Director of Primary Education for the entire nation, President of Tokyo Higher Normal School, the institution that trained Japan's teachers. He put judo into the public school system. Judo spread through Japan's schools. In 1909, Kano became the first Asian member of the International Olympic Committee. The Olympics were a European institution, an extension of Western sporting culture. Kano did not just join it, he saw what it could become. He believed the Olympic movement could unite East and West through physical education, the same philosophy that drove his judo. He campaigned for Tokyo to host the Olympic Games years before anyone thought an Asian city could. He traveled the world. He spoke multiple languages. He became one of Japan's leading ambassadors for sport and physical education. And he did something else. Kano sent his best students overseas, not to fight, not to challenge, to teach, to spread the principles of judo. Yamashita Yoshitsugu went to the United States. He taught judo to President Theodore Roosevelt in the White House. Roosevelt trained regularly and became an enthusiastic student. Yamashita also began teaching at the United States Naval Academy. Judo was now in the American military. Another student went to Europe, another to the United Kingdom. And one student, a fighter named Mitsuyo Maeda, traveled farther than any of them. Maeda went to the United States. He fought challenge matches across the East Coast. He went to Cuba, to Mexico, to Europe. And eventually, his journey brought him to Brazil. In Belém, according to Gracie family tradition, Maeda taught a teenager named Carlos Gracie. Carlos taught his brothers. Over the following decades, the Gracie family refined and adapted the art into what became Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Kano never intended to create BJJ. A Kodokan judoka carried the art across the ocean. It took root in Brazilian soil and grew into something new, an art that would revolutionize combat sports in the 20th century. The UFC MMA, the global jiu-jitsu movement. All of it traces back through Maeda, through the Gracie family, through a small dojo in Belém. All of it traces back to a frail schoolteacher in Tokyo who just wanted to stop being hit. Kano was 77 years old. He had spent his entire adult life building judo. From a 10-mat room in a temple to an international institution with students on every continent. He had become a member of Japan's House of Peers. He had served the Olympic movement for nearly 3 decades. He was the most important figure in the history of Asian martial arts. But one thing remained unfinished. Kano had spent years campaigning for Tokyo to host the Olympic Games. Japan had been awarded the 1940 Games, but the bid was fragile. International tensions were rising. The Second Sino-Japanese War had begun. Voices in the IOC wanted to strip Tokyo of the honor. In March 1938, Kano traveled to Cairo for an IOC meeting. He was old. He was tired. He knew his health was failing. But he stood before the committee and made his case. Tokyo would be ready. The games would unite nations. Sport would transcend politics. Kano argued passionately for Tokyo's bid, and the city retained the 1940 Games. On May 4th, 1938, Kano boarded the Hikawa Maru, a passenger liner bound for Japan. He was going home. Somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, pneumonia took hold. Jigoro Kano died at sea. He was 77 years old. The 1940 Tokyo Olympics never happened. The Second World War consumed the globe. The games were cancelled. Kano's final victory was a promise that history could not keep. But his other promises held. In 1964, the Olympics came to Tokyo. 26 years after Kano's death. Judo was included as an official sport, the first Asian martial art to achieve that status. Kano's dream, delayed by war, finally realized. Today, Judo is practiced by millions in over 200 countries. The International Judo Federation is one of the largest sporting bodies on earth. Every black belt in Judo, Karate, Taekwondo, BJJ, every ranking system that measures growth from novice to master, all of it goes back to one man. Kano's story is not the one martial arts usually tells. There is no great battle at the center of it, no single enemy, no triumph of violence over violence. He was a small boy who was hurt. He learned to defend himself, and then he spent the rest of his life making that defense into something that could lift everyone. Not just the strong, not just the talented, not just the aggressive. At the Kodokan, there is a plaque with Kano's most famous words. Seiryoku Zenyo, maximum efficiency. Jita Kyoei, mutual welfare and benefit. He believed those two principles, used together, could perfect the individual and eventually the world. On Tatami Codex, we have told the stories of the Gracie family, of Hélio and Rickson and Rose and Carlson. We have told the story of Masahiko Kimura, the man who defeated Hélio Gracie. Every one of those stories runs through Jigoro Kano. The influence is unbroken. Kano, Maeda, Gracie. Every person on these mats, every belt around every waist. He was a school teacher who weighed 90 pounds, and he changed modern martial arts. If you want to go deeper, beyond what any documentary can cover in 15 minutes, here are 3 books that shaped this script and will give you the full picture of Jigoro Kano's life and philosophy. Mind Over Muscle, writings from the founder of Judo. Kano's own words, compiled from his lectures and essays written over decades. He explains maximum efficiency and mutual welfare in his own voice, and you can feel the school teacher in every sentence. If you read one book on this list, make it this one. The Rise and Evolution of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by Robert Drysdale. The single best researched account of how Judo became BJJ. Drysdale incorporated Japanese archival research that no previous English language book had accessed, and his treatment of the Maeda to Gracie transmission is the most careful scholarship available on the subject. The Father of Judo, a biography of Jigoro Kano by Brian N. Watson, the definitive English language biography. Watson spent years researching Kano's life, and this is the book most modern judo historians cite. It covers the political context, the Olympic years, and the educational philosophy in depth. Links are in the description below. If you want to understand where martial arts came from, not the myths, not the legends, but the real root of it, Subscribe to Tatami Codex. We are telling the full story. What figure from martial arts history should we cover next? Leave it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share this with someone who trains. The influence continues.